Hello, welcome to All of the Above, where we talk about spirituality, healing modalities, energy, intuitive development, the mystical, and any and everything related to spiritual awakening. My name is Meredith, and I'm so excited that you're here and to jump into today's episode. Hi, welcome back to All of the Above. I hope you're having a beautiful day. I am so grateful, as always, that you're here. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to share this conversation that I had with Charlie Baldwin. And Charlie is a meditation and breathwork teacher and spiritual teacher with the Art of Living. And the Art of Living is an international organization teaching breathwork and spirituality and meditation. And Charlie teaches retreats and teaches breathwork with them. And he also goes into the community teaching and sharing these practices with first responders, with reentry programs, churches. So just spreading the beauty, the power of breathwork and meditation across the world. And this conversation was also a wild little gift from the universe because Charlie and I realized when we got on to record that we went to the same high school and we're a year apart and hadn't really met then, but it all came very full circle in this conversation and was just a beautiful reflection of going through transformation, growing up, evolving, and finding your way to the path of spirituality, of your light and your heart in exactly the right way, time, moment. So it felt really healing for me to have this conversation happen and to just see others on this path doing this work and living from the heart and wanting to make the world a better place. So with that, I hope you guys love this episode as much as I do. I hope you dive in and I hope it inspires you to try breathwork and meditation if you're not already doing that, to add it into your routine. So, yeah, I'll see you guys in there. I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much, as always, for being here. Hi, Charlie. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hi, Meredith. Nice to meet you.
You too. So nice to be connected. And um, I want to just go right to this because I think this is wild. We just discovered in our little pre-recording chat that we both went to the same high school and we're a year apart. So
Nice.
I just think it's wild that the universe is connecting us in this way and like the serendipities of this and wild.
Yeah, I know that I was just sharing with you and some friends that I in high school and all the years before that I was this realm of wellness and spirituality was so far from my mind then that it's so nice to
Mhm.
connect to someone that we went to the same high school together and share about topics that we may not have been interested in those times.
It's so true. I wasn't meditating or anything back then at all. And I feel like I've always had a spiritual thread, but it didn't become clear to me until like college was when I really also started having more experiences directly. So
Mhm.
I am so curious about your story and journey and what led you to be, you're now a teacher of meditation and breath work and spirituality with the art of living. So I'd love to hear about your journey from to get to this beautiful place.
Yeah, so I started so many different times. Like there's so many different times where I can start it, but I feel like this is a natural place to start where in high school where I feel like it actually there was like a catalyst that happened and so I at the end of senior year of my high school, I was I was very into I was smoking marijuana a lot and I guess there's a spectrum of what a lot means, but for me, I remember towards the end of high school, I was starting to feel like, oh, like I'm really looking forward to this thing every weekend in a way that it's like controlling the direction of my life in a way. Like I was just like, oh, I'm like really looking forward to this more than so many other things. So like there was kind of something in the back of my mind, like, okay, I don't know about that. Like but then it was actually at the end of senior year and I really haven't told this story, but I feel like it's relevant now that it's like
Yeah.
you went to the same high school. So there was a basketball game that happened that we like won on this last second shot, and I
Mm.
was in the stands, and I was high, and so but I was feeling very like something wasn't right because
Mm.
I was also the vice president of the school at that time, and I just remember starting to feel like this is not. I just don't feel like that's in alignment with me. Like not I'm supposed to be like representing the school or whatever, and I just really was feeling like oh, kind of guilty and like a little bit of shame. Like I haven't been doing things that were of service to the school anyway. Like I was just really kind of
Mm.
having a moment of like being like, oh, I was being kind of selfish. Like I'm a little bit of a selfish person, and so basically the next day I actually started watching some videos on a Christian minister who my mom was starting to become more into spirituality, very much in a Christian lens, and she would make my brother and I watch these programs before school, and I was just always
Mm.
like just putting it away, like I don't want to hear about this. I wasn't interested, but then that morning I just kind of realized that I was open to hearing a new perspective on life. And so I really just admitted to myself that I didn't know how to make myself happy. And
Mm.
that I feel like opened myself up to hearing some of these words of wisdom from, it was Erwin McManus, which is his name. He is a famous author and speaker, but he has a book called The Barbarian Way. And it was very, very impactful for me in a way that I realized I could separate out a lot of the teachings and the wisdom from the organized religion that I was very averse to in a way. And so that really started my journey into spirituality. I really became very interested in learning more about how to not only just connect with the divine in myself, but also I was very interested in how to be of service to others. And I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know what that meant. And for me, that's in college, what that meant was joining a Christian fellowship and really diving into that and finding community there and finding wisdom there. But then I really started diving into then meditation in breathwork around this time. Have you heard of the book A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle?
I have it right over there. Yes. Love it.
That was one my mom just like left it in my dorm room freshman year, and I don't know if she left it there on accident or on purpose, but I just started picking that up, and it was like so many revelations that were happening
Mm.
reading that book. And that's really what was another catalyst that got me into learning more about breath work and meditation. And I really just dabbled a lot in college of trying different things, different techniques. This was like still relatively early days of YouTube. Like there was a lot of things out there, but yeah, it was just like I was just finding random stuff and trying it. And then it was only when I was a junior year and I was I was actually about to drop out of school because I had already switched my major twice. I like didn't know why I was there. I was just still figuring things out. And one of my friends who knew I was interested in this stuff, he said, before you make any big decision, why don't you come and take this breathwork and meditation retreat and then make some decision after that? So I trusted this guy. There was something I could tell he was doing that was working. So I said, let me give this a shot. And yeah, I took this retreat, and it wasn't like anything on the retreat itself. Like the heavens didn't open up or I didn't see like a white light, but there was just something that said, if I do this technique every day, if I do a consistent practice of this breath work, I think some things will open up for me, some good things will happen. And yeah, sure enough, I started practicing every day. And then after just a few weeks, I remember looking around thinking, like, wow, I have more confidence, I have more energy. I all these things that seemed so overwhelming all of a sudden became more manageable, and so it's like something is working here. And
Mm.
then I started reading more of the wisdom of the founder of that technique and the art of living, Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar is his name. And once I started reading a little bit more of his wisdom and I kept practicing the techniques, I was just like, okay, something is working here. And then I started to just lead a few meditations at my college to just be of service that way. And then eventually I became a teacher and started teaching these retreats at universities in Boston and Pittsburgh and then in North Carolina. And then, yeah, and then the last few years I've really been teaching even with a little bit more of emphasis on like community leaders and law enforcement specifically. And yeah, so that's a bit of my story and background. So I know it's a lot I just threw out there, but that's kind of a one way to see the journey.
Thank you for being so vulnerable with that too. I feel like just going back to high school and being so real with sharing that, because for me too, that's something where I realize how much healing I've had to do around that time in particular for me, and the version of myself that I was, and still like all of the inner child, self love, all of that. So just relating to feeling like having that moment of like, what am I doing here? Like that sort of feeling that you explained with the basketball game. So thank you for going there and sharing that. And yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I was just like, it was this big thing. I was just like, I wasn't bringing my best self to high school. Like, I didn't grow in ways that I thought there was just so much. I felt like I left a lot of potential on the table, if you will. And I just remember going into college thinking that I want to be a better version of myself. I mean, that's a really cliche way to say it, but that is how I felt. And yeah, I think that was like the kernel that, the divine used to kind of crack me a little bit of like, I was causing myself a lot of pain, and I'm sure others pain and suffering as well. But yeah, that really was something that opened me up for learning a lot more in college.
I love that. I love how it's like the one moment where it might not look profound to someone else, but to you, it's everything changes from there. And it's so sweet, the influence of your mom too. I love that. Like the book just being left there and just having it in the background, and then finally kind of opening your eyes to it and being open to it is such a beautiful thread throughout this.
Yeah, no, she was there kind of through the whole, even from the years when she was making my brother and I watch these like Christian programs in the morning, which I had no interest in doing. I do see how like there was some positive impact on it, and yeah, so she's been definitely a big like spiritual, I don't know, foundation for our family and definitely for me. So.
I love that. Is religion still part of your practice, or do you feel now like it's sort of more just spiritual?
That's always such a tough question for me to answer because I still feel I feel like this has been actually coming up in a lot of the conversations that I've been talking to, both in person with my friends and then even on some other podcasts or just with people about that. One of the things that I just keeps coming up is something that my meditation teacher says, which is like religion or spirituality is like the banana and religion is the banana peel. And often we get so caught on the banana peel and miss the fruit that's within the peel. And I feel like my journey into breathwork and meditation and a lot of the wisdom in the art of living and from my teacher Gurudev, I feel like that has brought a new light and appreciation for the religion that I grew up with. Like I felt like at first when I was starting this, I thought there was like some conflict. Like, oh, like if I'm into yoga and I really like reading about the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, or if I like learning about Vedic wisdom or the Ashtavakra Gita or things like that, then I must be going against my religion. Like Jesus must not like that or something. Like I had these conflicting thoughts. But then the more I would do the practices and the more I would read about yoga and practice it and really integrate that into my life, the more I actually appreciated going to church, and like the hymns that I used to think were really boring had a newfound juice and like aliveness to them. And some of the rituals that I thought were just stupid or like just like meaningless or boring, I found some appreciation for, and same with the wisdom in the text. So it's hard for me to always answer that. Like, am I religious? I feel like there's definitely Christians that would say I'm not Christian or I'm not religious, and then there's people that would say otherwise. So, but for me, I still think of myself as a Christian and as a yogi as well. And I have a meditation teacher who grew up in an environment that was Hindu and really studied the Vedas growing up. So I don't know what to do with all of that information, but that I guess definitely I'm more interested in the spirituality of it, but that also has allowed me to, I feel like, appreciate more and still take part in the religious aspects as well.
I love that. And I really relate. I feel like it's also interwoven for me that I almost, as spirituality grows, I feel like religion kind of becomes in stronger for me and more. So it is hard to define it. It's a hard question. So thank you for that. I'd love to hear more about the art of living and Gurudev and just kind of the story behind it. I found over the summer I'm in LA and there are a few, I think, here, maybe three. And I was looking for like a group meditation and it popped up and I've been meaning to go, but I've never experienced it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so the Art of Living it's an international organization. It's one of the largest volunteer-based organizations around the world. I think we're in over 185 countries now. Like it's everywhere. And it started, I want to say, let's see, 2000, it started about 43 years ago, in the early 80s. So maybe a little bit more than that. And basically, so Gurudev had been teaching meditation for some time, actually, even since he was very young. I don't know if you're familiar with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who founded the Transcendental Meditation Organization, but Gurudev was actually teaching meditation with him and traveled with him teaching for some time. And then still when he was young, must have been in his 20s, that he was just seeing that there was something people were still not able to get into deep meditation. There was something that he thought that people could use some other ways to get deeper into meditation. And so he actually went for 9 days of silence on one of the rivers in India. And it's said that the breathing technique of sky breathwork, which is the breathing technique that I teach and that Art of Living teaches around the world, the cornerstone, you could say, of the programs. It stands for Sudarshan Kriya Yoga, and he says that the technique sort of came to him like a poem would come to an artist, like that. The technique of the rhythmic breathing, he came to him like a poem, like a piece of art, and he knew that he needed to share that with people as a way to help them tap into those deep meditative states and release stress and release the tension that really blocks us from tapping into our deepest source of peace and joy and love. And so, yeah, so he started teaching really by just being invited into people's homes in different places. And pretty soon he came to America. It was actually one of the earliest places that he taught. He taught in India for a little bit and then traveled to America. And Los Angeles is actually one of the early places. There's a lot of people that are in Los Angeles that have been with the Art of Living for 30 some years. But yeah, it's an international organization that we really teach all sort of demographics, from even kids like in grade school can learn simple breathing techniques, to college students, which is where I took the program when I was in college. And then the other programs that I've taught personally are the programs for inmates, so people that are incarcerated, and also those that are coming out of incarceration, getting reintegrated into society. And then, we teach programs for veterans suffering from PTSD, doing some of the breath work. There's just really profound effects for them. Just a few sessions of doing the breath work can really release a lot of stress and trauma, and really so many different demographics of society that in so many different countries that it's it's very big in Latin America. I have many Latin American friends that are a part of the Art of Living and teach Art of Living programs, and Russia and Eastern Europe. It's also quite large. So yeah, that's a little bit of the background of the Art of Living, and I actually lived for the last 7 years, I was living in Boone, North Carolina, where we have our largest center in North America. It's like a beautiful retreat center on top of the mountains in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And we have people from all over the world that come and do some sort of wellness, relaxing yoga, breathwork, or meditation program. And so that place is particularly special to me because I've lived there for some time and got to teach a lot there as well.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. That is so amazing how quickly, relatively quickly, I feel like 40 years is not that long to have that much reach across the
Yeah.
world and to be teaching and reaching so many people in the programs. I think that is such a huge, I mean, wow, like you are really casting this network of light and really transforming people's lives by teaching and just, it's
Yeah.
really so beautiful. That's really profound.
Yeah, and it's when I think about it too, it's like even when I started meditating like in 2011, 2012, I didn't know one other person that was into meditation, certainly not breathwork. Breathwork was not a thing that people were talking about. And but when I think about that, we've been teaching this in the 80s and 90s in the US, and when I hear stories from those teachers that like people they thought you were crazy. What do you mean you're going to learn how to breathe? Like, we already know how to breathe. Like, how is that going to help anything? So now it's almost, it's certainly much more mainstream of how widely accepted it is that people really know, the power of breath work and meditation. And also, I think now more than ever, people are really looking for tools that, maybe don't have the same side effects as medication, or looking for additional ways, in addition to therapy and things like that, to do some sort of healing and letting go of anxiety, letting go of stress and trauma. So yeah, it's been quite a journey. I've been really happy to be a part of it for the last almost, what is it, 13 years, 13, 14 years.
That's amazing. That really is. I'd love to hear more about your day-to-day sort of spiritual practice. If you are doing, like, are you doing breath work every day or meditating, or do you kind of change your routine? I love hearing about
Yeah.
everyone's individual. Yeah.
Yeah. So my daily practice for the last, so basically since I did that retreat that I was referring to, like in junior year of college, pretty much every day I have done the sky breathwork meditation, which is just a 30-minute practice, which includes some simple breathwork techniques and then some period of rest and meditation. So that's something I do every day. And then I also pair that with another meditation technique that I've learned through the Art of Living called Sahaj Samadhi, which is it's a mantra-based meditation technique, and it just means effortless bliss. And it's a very simple technique that I just plug into right at the end of my breathing practice, and just really guides me into that meditative state even deeper. So I do that right after my sky breathwork, and then separately in the day I'll do one more short meditation with a Sahaj Samadhi meditation. And then recently, I've been doing a little bit of some physical postures, some asanas before the sky breath meditation. I've always tried to do a little bit, even just like a few sun salutations or something. But recently, I've been trying to be more disciplined on that, because I noticed the difference. Just even a few minutes of some sort of physical postures just like opens up the system, allows the energy to flow so much better, and just glide into that meditative state even easier. So that's normally my routine, is like a few minutes of yoga, usually some sun salutations, my sky breath meditation combined with my Sahaj Samadhi practice. And then once again later in the day, I'll do a short Sahaj Samadhi meditation practice.
That is incredible to have been doing the sky breath technique for so consistently for so many years. I feel like for me, I change my routine all the time. I'm doing different breath works or meditations. So the power of the consistency must be just so profound to really.
Yeah, I think one of the things that stuck in my mind with it is that even before, it was like the summer before I had done my first Art of Living program, is that I read a translation of this Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, translated by, I think it's Swami Sachidananda, who founded Yogaville in Virginia. And I just remember he had a saying in there of like, that when it comes to yoga practice, that like digging 100-foot hole is better than digging 101-foot holes. And like for some reason that like that when I that's when I went to do this practice junior year, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this practice for a few months, come what may. I'm gonna just set aside and just see what happens. And that I think was one of those things I was just realizing like, okay, I dabbled so much in college with so many different things that I was like, I don't know what it was. Something inside me was just like, I'm going to stick with this one for a while and just see what happens. But yeah, there is something I do find that there is something of like having that consistent daily practice. I think for me has been really beneficial.
Yeah, for me, even if it's like 5 minutes, just taking some sort of time for myself makes a huge
Yeah.
difference. Um, I'd love to hear a little bit about the sky breath technique. I just finished a breathwork certification a few weeks ago,
Nice.
kind of an entry level, but I think it's probably different. Like we did the three-part breathing and modified holotropic breath work. So I feel like there are so many different types. So I'm
Yeah.
curious if there's like a little overview you could share.
Yeah, this technique it has there's like three techniques that are built into it, and the first two are really lung expanding techniques for really preparing the body for the sky breathing, the rhythmic breathing. I don't know, have you ever heard of or done the bellows breath or Bastrika technique before? Have you?
Yes, where you really fill up all the way and then
Yeah.
release.
And
Okay.
we have a little movement associated with that as well that kind of just helps move through the stagnant energy in the system, and really it's like an energizing aspect to it as well. So bring that energy and alertness. And then there's the first part is really just about breathing into the different lobes of the lungs, opening up the lower lobe, middle lobe, and third lobe here for allowing the most amount of oxygen and prana to come into the system. And then that there's the last part of the technique is the part that is some rhythmic breathing that you breathe with according to different sounds. And
Mm.
it's some of that we like to keep a little bit secret for the course itself, so that just like to you really just get that full experience when you dive into it for the first time. But it's really like kind of these three things packaged into one with a rest period that is it's a very nicely orchestrated series of techniques that really leaves you just in that meditative state, so that even if someone has never meditated, doesn't have any meditation practice, or no desire to even learn meditation, just by doing the breath work just can leave you in that meditative state where you feel like you've really let go of some things. And also what I have found teaching over the years is that it impacts people differently. Like some people find it that they were very lethargic when they came into the retreat, and they feel so energized and enthusiastic after. Some people feel very restless or agitated when they come in, and they feel very centered and calm when they leave. So it's kind of I don't know, it's kind of silly to say, but it really feels that it gives people what they need in that moment, by that just getting aligned with their centeredness, finding that energy, like that pillar of energy that can sometimes be dissipated so much throughout the day, with whether it's on screens or just getting caught in our head with conversations that happened in the past or conversations in the future. I find it's just that powerful tool for bringing the mind into the present moment and releasing all the things that aren't serving us.
I love that. Yeah, I need to take the training or come for a retreat. I'm so intrigued by this.
Oh yeah,
It
you
sounds
definitely. There's
so
so many.
great.
We have a beautiful center in Los Angeles too. It's like I forget exactly. It's very close to USC though, and we have a beautiful
Okay.
center. I know for sure. There's in-person programs that happened, and we also teach this one online as well too.
Oh, cool. I will definitely check it out. Um, I'm curious. So, you have probably worked with so many people and taught so many people. And I feel like even just, I'm not really teaching breath work or anything or meditation, but just talking to friends about it and certain people, they'll say things like, oh, I can't meditate, or that sort of sentiment. So, just wondering how you approach that and talk to
Yeah.
people about that. And yeah.
Yeah, no, this is something we hear. I mean, I hear this all the time, especially when we do. Not as much for the guests that like take time and travel up to the retreat center, although sometimes, but especially when I do different workshops at yoga festivals or something, or people will say like, look, I love the idea of breathwork and meditation, but I can't meditate. When I sit down, I have so many thoughts that come up. And one thing that I always say is that when you sit down and you close your eyes for the first time, so much of the time our attention's just outward, right? Our attention is focused on what we need to do next, what happened to us in the past, what do I want to do tomorrow. The mind is constantly going between the past and the future. It's constantly oscillating past, future, past, future. So when we sit down and we observe what's happening in the present moment, there is naturally going to be things that just start arising. And often, especially at the beginning, those things are uncomfortable. A lot of times, those things are, I hear people say, I want to meditate, but every time I sit to close my eyes, I feel anxious, or I just feel angry when I sit down and close my eyes. And what I usually say is, first, that's fantastic. That means you're observing that there is an emotion that is latent, that's been hiding in the body, that is looking for an outlet to come out. And it's going to come out one way or another. It's already there. So having some conscious time to sit and observe that is the best thing that you can do for it. It's like someone saying, I'm too out of shape to go to the gym. It's like, no, the first few reps that you do at the gym, the first time you go for a jog, it will be uncomfortable. But that's exactly, you're in the right place. That's the thing to do. And so yeah, I always just really encourage people, like, you cannot do it wrong. If you're sitting down and you're observing what's happening in the present moment, you're already on your way and it's working. Meditation doesn't have to be no thoughts. If you're having thoughts, you're thinking in meditation, then we usually like to add another layer of thought of like, oh no, I'm thinking, I must not be meditating, I'm doing it wrong. And then we have all these judgments associated with it. So I always tell people that it not only is it possible, but you know how to do it. You already are doing it. Even when you're feeling that anxiety, know that means that you've stepped into meditation. You've already started it, just that you've opened yourself up to feeling those uncomfortable feelings. So, and then this is where that breath work really comes into play, because sometimes the thoughts are so much, they're so overwhelming. The fear or the anxiety in the body or the anger in the body is so much to deal with that we feel like we can't sit with it or something. It just feels like a lot to handle. And then this is where the breath work I have found to be extremely powerful, where when even before, sometimes when I sit in the evening, my evening meditation, and there's so many thoughts going, just a couple minutes of breath work is so powerful to relaxing the mind and settling into the present moment. And yeah, just allowing, there's so many secrets in the breath. And one of those being that it's always in the present moment. And it's so obvious, right? Sometimes I take that for granted when I say that, but it's something that I really didn't think about until I was on this journey and learning more about these techniques. But it's a tool that's, even when the mind can be all over the place and so difficult to control, and often the situation that we want to stop thinking about is the hardest thing to stop thinking about, that using a tool of the breath that's more tangible allows us to guide the mind into the present moment in a way that's, we have more say over the breath. The mind can be a little bit slippery. So the breath is like this tool that when we really feel like, oh no, I really can't meditate now, that's where some breath work comes in and can be really powerful for shifting the whole state of mind.
I love that. And I love what you said, secrets of the breath. I feel like that just is so true. Breathwork I've had such profound experiences, and I feel like it releases so much trauma in the body and releases things you don't even know that need to be released. And just the power of going right into that state where your mind is not thinking about the past, the future, and everything else. So
Yeah.
I love that.
And when I think of the secrets of the breath, one of those secrets that I also was just never aware of until someone told me was that there is this intimate connection between our emotions and the rhythm of our breath. Like, I wasn't aware that each emotion has a corresponding type of breath with it. It has a corresponding rhythm of breath. Like if we think about it, when we're angry, we breathe a certain way, right? We start, it's like, you can hear it. It can be short and quick. And when we're sad, there's that long sigh, that long exhale. And then we're happy, or we see someone we haven't seen in a while. We're so happy to see them. We have that inhale, that prominent inhale, like, wow. So one of the ideas behind the breath work is that it's not just a one-way street. It's not just that our emotions impact the rhythm of the breath, but that we can use the breath, use some specific techniques, use it in a specific way that can then impact and uplift our state of mind and our emotions. And that's just something that really stuck with me over the years. Of every time I find myself being overwhelmed by emotions or getting stuck in thoughts, having that awareness to remember that the breath is always with me and always there to be in the present moment, and allows you to be that observer of what's happening as opposed to being carried away by the overwhelming emotions.
I feel like we all need this so much right now. And just like imagining if every single person in the world, if we all just did a little bit of breath work or meditation every day, I mean, we need this. Um,
I agree.
what about the people that I'm sure you hear this too, that say like, I don't have time for this in my schedule.
Yeah, that we do hear that a lot. Yeah, it's true. You know, it. I mean, how I think of it is that we're so used to trying new diets or new workout routines and trying experiment. Like it's very common in American culture to be like, oh, I'm trying this diet for some time, which usually means you have to put in some time and effort of changing what your meal is. Like you have to shop different, you have to prepare food different, and those things all take a little bit of time to learn. And similarly with a workout routine, of course, there are people that just say, I don't have time to work out. But anyone who has done a consistent exercise practice knows that the benefits that you get from the exercise outweigh any time. It's like an investment into your health. You see it as this investment. And so you don't really think of it as losing time, but as investing into your overall well-being. And so I really see that with breathwork and meditation is that, especially now in the 2020s, it's almost like it is when I started, it really felt like a luxury. Like it felt like I was doing something that was, people hadn't heard of before, and it was really helping me focus and helping me, move through emotions quicker. But now it almost seems like we've moved past the point where it's a luxury and it's almost a necessity, where with so much stimulation that's coming into our brains every day through the screens, through social media, through all of the apps and all of the things that we have to respond to on a day-to-day basis, that it has almost become this necessity for mental hygiene, that we need tools for letting go of all of the impressions that we accumulate throughout the day. And we need tools for increasing the prana, increasing the energy when there's so many things that can drain it, like looking at a screen all day or sitting at a computer and having to, read so many, whatever, hundreds of messages through a day. And so I really see this as an investment into your well-being. And it's almost, to me now, is like, I don't really think about, oh, I don't have time to shower or brush my teeth today. It's just so much that I have to do. It's like, no, that's important to maintaining good hygiene. And so breath work and meditation are, for me, ways to maintain that mental hygiene. And so those are some of the ways that I talk to people about it, of like that there's so many things that are going to be pulling for your time and attention. So setting aside a few minutes a day for your own mental, emotional, spiritual well-being is the best thing. It's the best thing that you could do out of one of your 48 half-hour chunks of the day. This is like a no-brainer. So that would be my pitch. I don't know. Does that resonate with you? Does that make sense?
So much. I love that. Yeah, I feel like the comparison to working out is so easy for people to understand too.
Yeah.
And it's true. And it gets easier with time. And then like you love working out at a point, you love meditating, and it will just develop naturally. So
Yeah.
yeah. And I feel like the younger generations as well are more open to this too. And it's more natural for them. Like I've heard of them teaching this in like elementary schools now, which was not at all my experience. So like
You
makes me
didn't go to
hopeful.
that chapel either? You didn't, I don't think you had,
We didn't have that class.
yeah, I must
um, but yeah, I feel like people are, or just the younger generations are more open to it too. So
have.
there's something kind of hopeful for me in that sense that children are growing up learning these techniques from an early age and being able to regulate and
Yeah.
come back to center.
Yeah, I mean, I've really seen that every demographic is really becoming more open-minded to this to these things. Like
Mm.
when we were first starting to teach law enforcement a couple years ago, both me and my co-teacher who's with me, Patty, we were talking to each other before, like, what are these guys going to think of this? They're going to think this is like woo-woo and like just, these are just, hardworking law enforcement in the southern part of the United States. We're thinking, what are they going to think about this? It's the Bible Belt, where people are going to just reject this immediately. And we were so surprised at not just how open-minded a lot of these leaders were, but that they were just so willing to admit that, you know what, we deal with a lot of trauma, and we genuinely need tools to give to our guys that can help them move through the traumas that they experience on a day-to-day basis, and help them shut off their brain, that they go home with their families and their mind is still running about all the incidents that happened at work. And so, yeah, the open-mindedness and the willingness to try new things, I have found, has been there in almost all the demographics that we work with,
Mm.
in ways that it hadn't been even 10 years ago when I was first starting this.
Wow, that's incredible. I was wondering if it would be tricky going into those settings, and it feels so needed. It feels like the people that are on the front lines and police, EMS. I
Yep.
mean, I'm just imagining a world where like you're in, I don't know, like an emergency situation and you're breathing with them and just
Yep.
like being able to go into some sort of regulation that's not like medication or,
Yeah.
you know, wow.
Yeah, I personally, I wasn't involved at that time, but we, after traumatic events like 9/11, or after some school shootings, we do send some of our teachers there to do
Mm.
just that, just what you're saying, just to help people, give people another tool to self-regulate and self-soothe when the normal channels, such as therapy or other, are maybe already are just overloaded. There's not enough
Mm.
therapists in the area, or there's not the medication isn't right, or can't happen. So yeah, the breath is, that's another just reason why I feel so passionate about getting this out there to people, is that it's a tool that people can take with them anywhere. You learn it once, and then it's your tool that you can deploy whenever needed, and it's just a tool in your back pocket that's always with you.
Mm. So needed. What a gift to be part of that organization and to be part of sharing this and spreading this. Oh, it's
Yes, very
really
cool. Yeah.
amazing. Um, okay, let's see. I'm curious. This is kind of a fun question.
Yeah.
What would your like dream world look like if we could just have a perfect world? What would that look like for you?
Wow. Okay, that is a big question. Um, okay, well, I don't know if this is going to exactly answer the question, but this is the first thing that came to my mind, is that one of my friends, like, this was a couple years ago, who's in the Army Reserves, and he posted a picture of, it was on Facebook, of him and like the people in his, I don't know what the terminology is, squad, platoon, whatever, his group of people that he's with. He led like a breathwork and meditation for them in this circle,
Mm.
and it was just like all these dudes in uniforms, like dressed up and meditating together in a circle. And for me, that image was very powerful in how I would like to see our world going forward, which is that I feel like every demographic needs to have access to tools that can regulate their mind and emotions, and help them move through the negative emotions quicker, and find that sense of connectedness and belongingness. And this is one of the other things, I'll give you another moment that I feel like connects with what my vision of the world is very excited about or enthused by. But the art of living, for the last every 5 years, starting, I don't know, 20 years ago maybe, has put on a World Culture Festival, which is brought people from all over the world for dancing and meditation, and different people of different religions brought, it was like food from all over the world. And I attended I've attended the last two, and the last one was in Washington D.C. on the National Mall, where we had over a million people meditating in front of the Washington Monument, and we had leaders, and there was just thousands of dancers, and that is something where I feel like I really resonate with Gurudev's vision about this World Culture Festival, where it's bringing people in their diversity, bringing all of the cultures together, bringing all of the food, the cuisine, the religions, and celebrating them individually, but also appreciating the belongingness and connectedness there. So there's something I like, there's something that really attracts me about that, where it's not just let's be all together and just do one, like forget all of your old religions, your old traditions and everything, but really honoring all of the individual traditions that have been there and the ancient wisdom from so many different areas and paths and parts of the world, and bringing them together in one place, while also honoring our underlying humanity and underlying the celebration aspect of it too, like celebrating that diversity of cultures and backgrounds. So that the World Culture Festival is one of those things I feel like does a good job of summing up how I envision a world going forward in one event. So we have some cool videos of that online that you'll have to check out, of just so many cool dances and things. And yeah, I was fortunate enough to be one of the MCs of the event in Washington D.C., and it was an amazing experience. And so that is an experience that I feel like is connects with me in terms of how I would like to see the world going forward.
Thank you. I love that. That's incredible. I'm just wanting to draw more light into like these positive moments and seeing the world
I
in a
love
way
that.
where we
It's such a
can.
good question. Yeah.
And then with that, if you were to be able to create one law or rule that every person had to follow, what would your law be? I think I have an idea of what it might be, but
One law. Okay. Oh, I feel like I feel like if I say it's a law that everyone needs to do breathwork and meditation, it comes off as. But okay, I guess I feel like I don't know if my law would be that everyone needs to do it, but everyone should have everyone should be at least exposed to it, is what I would say. That it should be a human right to be able to understand how to use your breath work, and learn about this connection of the breath, body, mind, spirit, because it's education that is crucial for being a human, but it's in none of our education systems, or at least it's slowly getting there, but it's that. So I would say, if I had to enact a law, I would say it would be to at least every person should be exposed to this wisdom of the connection of the breath and the mind, and be able to have some tools in their toolbox to impact their state of mind in that way. So yeah, you were right. I think that's probably what you were going to guess, and
that
that's
was my guess. So good. I love that. Yeah, it does feel like it should be something that we're all exposed to, and hopefully soon that will happen.
yeah. And
Um,
we're making some progress slowly and surely, and some other parts of the world do move much faster with these things, but I do think that we're slowly getting to that place where, like we were just talking about, more and more people are not only becoming open to it, but are realizing the need for it. And I think we're going to get there sooner rather than later. I like to think that it's an exponential thing, that slow progress, and then eventually it'll just very quickly take off.
I hope so. I feel like more people are knowing about breathwork in general, so that's that's positive.
Yes.
I also had a question come to mind while you were talking. So, what would you recommend if someone is in a moment where it's just like, oh, something happens, like immediate stress, and you're
Yeah.
maybe in public or you can't really sit for a full 30 minutes? What
Yeah.
would you say? What do you do then?
Yeah. Yeah. So one simple technique that we teach is called the straw breath, and this is one that is just extremely portable. Maybe you've done this or a version of this before, but this is really good when you're feeling that heightened state of anxiety or overwhelm, and yeah, you don't have time to do your 20-minute meditation or do a full breathwork session, and you're just going about your day. But it's something that it can still be super powerful. And to do this technique, and I don't know, maybe do you want to just should I just guide it through just for a few minutes for it, or
Oh,
just
yeah, I'd love that.
yeah, it's very, very simple technique. So it's best to do if you can do it with your eyes closed. And so with the eyes closed, what we're going to be doing is breathing in through the nose, but we're going to be breathing in as if we're filling up the whole body from the bottom of the feet all the way up through the top of the head, breathing in through the nose. And then once we've filled up the lungs completely, then we're going to purse our lips. And as if we're breathing out through a small straw, we're going to exhale through the mouth as slowly and smoothly as possible, letting all of the air out slowly and smoothly through the mouth as if breathing out through a straw. And once you've exhaled fully, exhaled completely, then once again, breathing in through the nose from the bottom of the feet all the way up, filling up the lungs completely, breathing up through the top of the head. And then once again, exhaling through the mouth as if breathing through a small straw. And once you've exhaled completely, breathing in once again through the nose, one more time, breathing in through, filling up all the lungs, breathing into the top of the head, filling up completely, and exhaling through the mouth as if breathing through a small straw. Letting the breath go slow and smooth, taking as long as you can to exhale fully. Then allowing the breath to return to normal. Just observing any changes, any differences in the body, in the mind. Just taking a few moments to observe what's happening inside. And then opening the eyes.
Hmm, that's so nice.
So
I
this
felt my
is,
shoulders drop.
yeah, yeah, and we just did three of them. We just did three. If it really 5 to 6 at a moment where that stress is there, just like you said, I love how you said, yeah, shoulders drop. That's such a great sign of that relaxation, right? Oftentimes we hold
Yeah.
so much tension here. So just a 5 to 6 of those breaths is very powerful for settling the nervous system and just allowing us to come back to that present moment and allowing the mind to start working in a way that's serving us instead of catastrophizing or working against us.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. It's so easy. And just closing the eyes too and taking 6 breaths or, 3 breaths makes such a difference. And
Yeah. I know
people,
it's such
yeah.
wisdom that we've known about, right? People will say what, even growing up, I remember people would say, "Oh, if you're feeling, stressed or nervous, take a deep breath." Like it's something that we've known is there, this connection, but just doing having a few practices, tangible practices in the toolbox can go such a long way.
Mm, agreed. Thank you. Okay, just a couple of quick questions before we wrap up. Wondering if you have a favorite book to recommend for listeners?
Yeah. Oh. Okay, so one of my favorite books is I like to recommend this one because it was one that it's like the newer version of the one that I was reading daily as I was starting my meditation journey that just was starting to open my mind up. So it's called Notes for the Journey Within by Gurudev Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. And it's like just little daily, like little short wisdom nuggets. And
Mm,
I remember when I was starting to do my practice every day, and I would just read one of them each day. And sometimes I would read something and I'd be like, that's not true. Like this doesn't apply to my life. Like this is whatever. And then a few days or a few weeks would go by, and something would come back, and I would revisit that. Like, oh wow, like there was something there. Like there was some truth there that I missed that I'm going to go back and read again.
Mm.
So yeah, so many mind opening, mind bending moments from reading that book. So that would be my number one that I would recommend for someone on that kind of spiritual journey, or just anyone looking to de-stress or get rid of some anxiety that might be there.
I love that. I love a daily something to look at that's quick and you can just go to and feel elevated or
Yeah.
inspired. Okay. And then wondering if you have a favorite quote or affirmation or something you would tell yourself, maybe go back and tell yourself in high school or in as a
Oh, yeah.
child.
Oh, that's a good one. Let me think for a second. I feel like there's so many. Like there's so many that are there. What's a good one that I feel like the one, I mean, this is one of Gurudev's most famous quotes, but it's just one that I always just come back to is just a reminder is that love is not just an emotion, it's your very existence.
Mm,
And I I think that sometimes it's very easy for me to just always want to put something outside of me to find the love or find the joy or find the wisdom, like find something out there that's going to complete me here. And that's just, it's such a simple quote. And it's one that so many different teachers and religions have come at from a different angle, but just remembering that love is not just an emotion, that it's our very being is it can just yeah it reminds me that okay like everything is here. Everything is here, and I need to look inward to tap into that, and that's really what my meditation and breathwork practice is about, is getting rid of all the junk that's just in the way from tapping into the love that's already inside.
oh my gosh, that is so good, so beautiful. I've not heard that quote, and that just struck a chord in me. I feel like that's so prevalent, and that kind of sums up the whole spiritual journey in a way, right? Like coming back to who we
Yeah.
are, which is love.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Is there anything else you'd like to share or leave listeners with before we close?
I would just like to share that if you are even considering or have ever thought that breathwork or meditation is something that you would like to try, even if you've tried it before and said that, oh, I don't think I can do it, I just want to provide that reassurance one more time that no, you definitely can do it. Don't worry. And go with the courage to sit with some discomfort. Have that valor, have that courage that you're bigger than any discomfort, any thoughts that there, you are bigger than all of those negative things that are uncomfortable, and that you, with just sitting with some patience and valor, that you will tap into that space, that meditative space of joy, peace, and love, where all that exists. It just takes a little bit of patience and valor, and you have that within you. So that would be my ending words of encouragement.
I love that. I think someone who needs to hear that will definitely end up hearing that.
I
And
hope so. Yeah.
that's always my intention. Like whatever someone needs to find, they'll find. And then where can everyone find you, connect with you, learn from you, take your study with you, take your classes?
Yeah. So for me specifically, Instagram, I'm a little all over the place with Instagram and TikTok, but Instagram, I think my handle is at Charj Baldwin. And so I post on there, and I will share on there when upcoming either online sessions are or where I'm teaching in person. And then also I would encourage people to just check out where I've lived the last 7 years is the Art of Living Retreat Center in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And there's so many amazing in-person programs that happen there that if you like to have any interest in learning about these techniques, that's an amazing place to do it. And then we also have just so many different Art of Living programs that you can do online as well by just searching the Art of Living Part One retreat, and that's I'm a teacher of that. So if you'd like to take it, if you'd like to take it with me specifically, feel free to just send me a DM or something, and we'll make a course happen. And yeah,
Amazing. I'll link everything for everyone below. And
cool.
I am just so honestly, this feels still so special that we were able to connect this way because we were connected through a third party. We didn't like this was not intentional. And I'm just kind of in awe of how the universe has
Yeah.
brought this together. And
Same.
that, yeah, to both be on a spiritual path and um, it's just really beautiful to see this kind of arc of transformation and growth, and to know that there are, we're on the same journey, that we're still doing this. And yeah, it's definitely been something for me where like high school has been a part of me that I feel like has been a lot of kind of struggle coming up with that and healing to do. So
Mm.
being able to have such a fresh, positive connection around all of that in this conversation has felt really healing, and really grateful that we were able to connect and
Yeah.
to be on this path together. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I was like, when I was like, where does that name sound familiar? And when I found out that, I was like, oh yeah, they definitely went to our high school. I know who that is. I was like, it is. There's something that is like inspiring about that, when you just like someone that has some past connection is like, yeah, on a spiritual journey. So, and yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's awesome what you're doing with your podcast and all the different modalities that you're exploring. And yeah, I wish you
Thank
the
you.
best in all the endeavors that you do as well.
Thank you so much. You too. And I'm so grateful for all of your wisdom and all that you're doing in for humanity as well, for teaching this, sharing this. Like truly, it's really profound to be sharing this work. And yeah, so
Yeah,
thank you.
you.
Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of All the Above. I hope you found some wisdom, insights, remembrances within yourself, and I hope you remember how beautiful and divine you are, and that you have so much to offer and bring to this world. And your gifts are so needed. You're so needed exactly as you are. And with that, if I haven't said it yet, I want to send you so much love and light. And thank you so, so much for being here. I hope you have the most magical day, and I will see you soon. Bye.